Hey, hey, here we are again. Now it's this present moment, and I'm very thankful to be here. A time of great peace has arrived. It's very excellent. Learning how to keep all hands to light. And here comes a butterfly. Did you see it? Just flew past. Yeah, enjoying this moment, finding the way. And I'm hoping this video helps a lot of people. Because psychic attacks, man, it's awful, right? It's pretty horrible. And it's like some people do it and they think it's fun, and we don't like it. So here's some techniques for how to handle such things, how to just be. So first off, if you're building a shield to defend yourself, that's the first thing that's got to go. Just remove it. You don't need it. If you're shielding, you're blocking yourself from your true potential. And that is causing some of the effects that you're noticing. So if someone is throwing energy at you, and you shield yourself from it, a lot of the discomfort that you're experiencing is when it's hitting your shield. If you take the shield down, then the energy either flows around you or through you, and then you change an aspect of yourself, and then it changes on their end too, and that is the nature of psychic attack. That it isn't actually people attacking you, it's people asking for help. Because no happy, healthy, well-adjusted person who is in their power and in their grace ever attacks another. It never happens that way. It's always that someone becomes afraid, and then in their fear, they're seeking a relief from that fear. And sometimes what they will seek to do is they will try to send that fear to someone else. They say, I don't like this, you have it. But that's never the way, and we don't need it. And so therefore, when someone sends their fear at us, we never send it back. That's never the way. Because then it just bounces back and forth and it grows, and we don't like that. And so, if someone's attacking you, never defend yourself. Stand your ground, be who you are, make a change, and by stand your ground doesn't always mean stay in one place. Sometimes you're standing your ground by running away. And what that means is, you're never running in fear, never running from, but towards the solution. So for instance, yesterday and last night, I encountered on Facebook a name, and as soon as that name went through my mind, some kind of dark something or other appeared on my left side, and it tapped into me in some way, and it jabbed, and it said, do a thing that you would never do. And I'm like, yeah, that ain't even it. And so we cleared it really quick, because that's not it, and that's not even it. However, in the morning, we noticed, oh, it's different than that. And there was some aspect of misalignment that was causing a conflict between me and this other person. And that's what that was. You see, it's a conflict. And that's what these psychic attacks are, is that it's not as though someone is doing some kind of powerful meanness, because there's no such thing. Meanness is always weakness. Always, without exception. And evil is always weakness, without exception. Fear is weakness, and we don't need it. So you are your strongest when you are without fear. Hence, removing the shields. The next step is clearing the fear. Because if you are afraid of what is happening, you're not seeing it clearly. And oh, have we been afraid? Oh yes, I know. Because sometimes we'll go along in the world, and then some horrifying monsters show up. And then these monsters start doing awful things. But now we realize there's no monsters, it's just people. And it's people asking for help. You know, they're asking for help in the way in which they can do so, because they don't know of any other way yet. And so if we can help them to find another way, then we do so. So how do we go about that? Well, can I say it? Of course I can, but how do I say it? When these energies arrive, they become you. And it's awful. We don't like it. But the good news is you can change. And as soon as you change, those energies that are you change as well. And that is the key. So if you're deflecting those energies, you're not changing. And if you're not changing, it's just going to keep happening until your shields go down and whatever it is finds you and then tries to become you. Now, obviously, there's traps abound. Because if something shows up and it says, do an evil thing, or you're really evil and you know that you are, and all this kind of stuff, we know that's not true. And so it's not about going along with it. It's about saying, you're me now, be me. And I am love, and I love you too. And I forgive you Forgiveness, that's the key. Have you ever forgiven a fear creation and watched what it does? They flip out. They do not know what to do about it, man. I have been face to face with some beings that would just, oh man, I mean, I don't even want to talk about it. I don't even want to think about it, because there's still some fear left and we don't like it. And we know that if we're experiencing something in fear, we're not seeing it clearly. And yet the best way to clear it is to forgive. And so you're face to face with it, and it's saying something awful, and it's doing something, and it's poking and jabbing into the back of your head, or it's like causing some kind of something in your belly, or there's like, you know, snakes involved, or there's some kind of freakiness. Forgive. And as soon as you forgive, they go, what? You're not allowed to do that. And I say, I do as I please. I can do whatever I want. You know, the Creator made me free, and I am free, and I am free to forgive you. And as I forgive you, you change, and then we watch them change, and they do. And to the degree of our forgiveness, and it's got to be true. I mean, you can say you forgive, and if you're still holding on to something you haven't forgiven, but when you truly forgive, watch them change, because it's people. It's people who got scared and didn't know what to do. And when you forgive them for being afraid, because it's not their fault for being afraid, because haven't we all been afraid, then the fear clears on your end. And then when the fear clears on your end, it clears on their end. Because these fear creations can be anything. They don't have to be fear creations. They can be butterflies. They can be bunnies. They can be anything you want them to be. And as soon as you forgive them for being a fear creation, because it's not their fault, then you watch them change. And usually they'll change into a person, and you say, be free. Ooh, seems like I missed something. There's another step involved. Did I miss it? Should I make another video? No, this is the one. So what am I forgetting? Let me change the subject, then we'll think of it. So I'm sitting here, beside a building that has excellent free Wi-Fi, watching the traffic go by. Every once in a while there's a butterfly. And got some fresh tobacco. Enjoying tobacco very much. Hey, as I drop it. And right now in this moment, what just happened was, I was sitting here, and an aspect of me, one of my hands, reached out and it grabbed something through these bushes. Because in another dimension, this bush doesn't exist. And these arms that we have are another dimension of ourselves. It reached out, and over there in the parking lot somewhere, there was something negative, something we don't like, something that is uncomfortable, and we don't like it. And so it reached out and it grabbed, and just did it again. I don't mean to do that, just drop it. And so then what I do is I will that hand to then drop it. I will it to open, and then whatever's in that hand, it drops out, and then I put it over my head. There's a new technique of where we put palms together over the head. And you've seen this sometimes in Hindu art, where there's a many-armed being, and they put their hands palms together above their head. And of course, these aren't gods, these are people. And so then we put our hands over our head, and then we stop reaching out and grabbing those things that we don't like. And then you notice how the voice changes, how our feelings change, and then our perspective changes. And this is an important technique, that when faced with a lot of these things, so often it's that we took something, and something claims ownership of that. Have you ever walked by a car and you don't know why, but you thought, I'm going to steal that car? And of course you're not going to steal that car because you're not a car thief, and that doesn't even make sense. And it's like, why did I think that? What thought is that? Well, someone is afraid of having their car stolen, and so they created a fear creation to protect their car from theft. And what that creation does is it goes out and it says to people, you should steal that car, so that it has a purpose, so that it can fulfill its purpose to defend against car theft. And it's a vicious circle. And so the way to clear that then is that when you notice it, then you recognize, oh, that isn't it, I forgive you. And then as you forgive them, then they say, what? And then they change into something else. They say, I see you in your truth, I see you in your light, and you don't want that. And they're like, yeah, you're right, I don't want that. And then the fear creation changes into a different creation. It's no longer a thing of fear, and now it's a thing of confidence. It's a confidence creation, confident that the car will never be stolen. And you're doing them a service, you're helping them to keep their car from being stolen, and also, you know, helping them to clear the fear, and that's what we came here to do. And so, returning to the story about the misalignment I had towards someone, and I just did it again, isn't it? Which I heard here, but flip the book, because really and truly it isn't like that, it isn't like that. And the thing I just said right there is from the Paul Selig books, and it's accelerated because it's encoded in my frequency, and so then it's basically a code that then gets repeated time and time again, and then shines from our vibrational field, and it clears fear instantly from everyone, anywhere, because it's everyone, everywhere. And don't you see that it's everyone, everywhere, and that there is no exception? And so when someone is doing something awful, they're not really doing something awful, they're asking you for help. They're saying, I recognize that I am you too, I recognize that I am of love, but I don't see it yet because I'm in fear. And please help me to clear this fear because then I can see it more clearly. And so then what we do is we see them in their truth and their light. So we say, I know who you are, I know what you are, I know how you serve. And you are here, you are here, you are here. And that you are here is a recognition of your right to be here, of your right to be an expression as you choose. And there is no exception. And so then as we are faced with some sorcerer who, and I do not mean that in mockery, and I don't mean to say that towards you, of course, but every once in a while we do meet a sorcerer of some kind in the way that we do, and we see them through the veil, and they see us too, and sometimes they become very afraid, and we jump up quick, and they say, oh no, no, something bad's about to happen, and I say, that isn't it, that isn't it, see you in your truth, and I send them eggs over my shoulder, and then it arrives behind them, and the eggs are encoded with truth, and it is this frequency as well. I say, I know who you are, what you are, how you serve, and I say it really fast, I know what you are, how you serve, you're here, 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 be uplifted, be well, and just be. And then as I say that, then I'm sending these eggs, and they're encoded with information. I don't know what it says, and I don't know what they see, but I see them, they look behind them, and they pick it up, and they go, what? And then it's like, yeah, it's different than that, because it's different than that, because, you know, we never had to fight, and we never do. And you see that that's what it is. When someone seems to be fighting you, they're not actually, they're asking for help, they're asking for the code, they're asking for the truth, they're asking for love, and they're asking to be love and expression, because I felt it too. I go around in the world, and someone in a car is feeling something, and I don't like it, and a part of me, as I drop it. So we never have to do that again, it never has to be that way. And you see, it's an ongoing process. It's infinite. But never give up, because there's creative solutions abound, and we drop it again, and all hands to light, and we jump up quick. Didn't quite make it. Now we did. Maybe. And that's how we do that. And then here we are in this moment, and it helps to be fast. Oh, it helps to be fast. Because then we don't get bogged down. And so often that's what it is. The people who are sending these things are doing some type of inappropriate behavior of any kind, and it applies to everyone, everywhere, and in every which way, whether it's the physical world, or whether it's psychic attack, or whether it's any form of so-called attack. It's not really that. It's just someone saying, help me please, because I don't know what to do. And then as you reach out in love without any defense at all, then the part of them that they're sending to you becomes you. And as you change it, then you send it back as love. And then they receive the answer. Now sometimes you can do this really quick, and with practice it gets easier. And with encoding yourself in a variety of ways, you can do it instantly. However, there's other ways of doing it slowly. And you can simply just process it. You see them, and you say, oh, I realize that I'm seeing this in fear, and so therefore I'm not seeing it clearly. As soon as I clear the fear on my end, it helps them clear the fear on their end. So how can I clear this fear? What is it about me that is misaligned in this moment that I am not seeing this in truth? And then as soon as you feel it clear, then you'll recognize, oh, now it's cleared, and you look again, and when you look again, you'll see them. And when you see them, you realize, oh, they're sad, you see, or they're hurt, you see, because so often it happened in childhood, that they were open, and they were honest, and they were loving, and they ran around, and they had so much fun, and then someone came up to them, and they hit them, or they pulled their arm really hard, or they knocked them down, either metaphorically or literally, and then they said, I'm never going to let that happen again, and so they built up defenses, and we all did this, and we all did this, and then as the defenses fall down, then we realize we don't have to fight anymore, because we never had to do it that way. Instead, we could have looked at the adult, and it's not about the rightness or wrongness of anyone's choices. And of course, how could we? We were children. We didn't know. However, we do now. And at the higher frequency, we can see. And the children born today will do this. That they will look to the adult, and they will say, I see that you are hurting. How can I help you? And it'll just, it'll trip them out, man, and they won't even know what to do. And then these kinds of behaviors won't set in anymore. But as long as they have, we do not blame them for their fear. We simply help them clear it. Because all blame is an extension of judgment, all judgment is a form of fear, and all fear is a lie as we drop it. And then as we drop the fear, we look again and we see, oh yes, it's different than that. Because when these people are afraid, how do we help them? And then as the fear clears, we see that they are our friends. Because everyone is our friend. Everyone is our friend. And everyone is your friend too. And it's true. And if you don't see it yet, it's because there's some amount of misalignment somewhere, somehow. And it's not your fault, because we do not blame you for your fear. We simply help you clear it. And I don't know if this video helped at all. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. But there's many more to come. There's many, many more things to say. And it feels like I haven't said it yet, so I'll keep going. Oh, yes, indeed. There's something else. I wonder what it is. I wonder what it is. What if I let go? What if I change? And in that moment, someone walked by. And when she walked by, a part of me was afraid that I would start feeling what she's feeling. Because so often what people are feeling has been so unpleasant for so long. And I would defend myself by lashing out. And that was the thing that I did. And I didn't realize that I was doing it until just recently. And, well, actually it wasn't that recent, but it depends on how you measure time. And so we drop it, and then we clear it. And so what I did was I got ahead of it real quick, and I was house over here, but lifted well, and I send her eggs, and I send her love, and I send her truth, and I see in the image it changes, and then she just softens, she goes, ah, and thank you, because that's what we came here to do. We came here to help, you see. And it's everyone, everywhere. And we all did. And sometimes we forgot, because these energies, man, they were so unpleasant, we didn't like it. And so then we're running around, and we're like, I don't like it, and then we react to it, and that's causing the issue itself. You see, so often when we think we're being attacked, we're actually attacking in return, and as we attack, they defend themselves, and that's really what is happening. And so often someone at first reaches out and says, please help, I'm feeling something I don't like, and then we say, ah, I don't like it, and then we start doing all kinds of things, and they're like, what the fuck, I'm under attack, and so then they retaliate, of course, because they have every right to defend themselves, and then we say, oh no, we're being attacked, because they're retaliating, and then it just causes a vicious circle. So if we can get ahead of that, and it's never too late, at any point along the way, you can always intervene, and you can always say, oh, I realize what I'm doing, and I stop, and I drop it, and what are my hands doing? What have I picked up that I don't need? All hands to light. What am I afraid of? What am I afraid of? Because all fear is a lie, so we drop it. If there's anything that I'm afraid of, it's fear, and all fear is a lie, so we drop it. And then we just be, and then we look again, and we say, oh, you see, there's my friend, and I did not mean to attack my friend. And forgiveness leads to forgiveness. And as soon as you forgive them, they forgive you too, because that's how it is. You see? And thus it is that if you feel as though you're under attack, make a change. Sometimes it's stepping to the right. Sometimes it's sitting by a tree. Sometimes it's taking a really deep breath in through the top of your head and sending out a gigantic wave from your heart and letting it extend and giving it as a free gift to all the world with the purest love. And remember, it's important to let go at the end. That way you don't try to draw the energies back, you just let it go. And then at the next breath, you're replenished again, and all is well. Because as you give freely, the energy returns. And so often it is that we feel like, oh no, they're going to steal something from me that I will never have again. And you say, well, maybe it's not something you ever needed. And so as you give it up, then you have it again if you need it, and if you don't need it, you never have it because you never wanted it, and we never really did, because so often these things that we had, we didn't like it, and then we make a change. Hopefully this helps. I'm going to upload this video regardless, and yeah, Portal Angel thinks it's a great one, I think, except of course we could have done it better. Oh yes, and she nods, she's like, oh yes, indeed, and with practice we shall, because a lot of it is practice. You see, we notice we're doing something, and we say, I'm going to make a change, we're going to do it, and then we get up to the speed, because remember, you do it now. If you think I'm going to do it later, no you aren't. And if you think, well, I'm going to fix what happened then, no you aren't. But if you're doing it now, you're doing it. And regardless how you do it, you're doing it perfectly. And it's everyone, everywhere, because we came here to learn. As a drop it, no excuses. Maybe I didn't quite say it right, because there are times where we don't do it perfectly, and thereby the practice. And then it gets easier. And we notice by how we feel, because right there when I said that, something over my left shoulder, it's like it jumped into me. It was like someone else. And we don't like it. And so the way to remove them, of course, is to change in frequency, because then as I change in my frequency, then there's no similar vibration. As there's no similar vibration, then the thing cannot be with me. And then it goes somewhere else. And there's gifts that happen along the way, and they've gotten some of that higher frequency, because all energy seeks a higher frequency. And that is what people are doing when they're calling out for help in this way, is they're saying, help me to reach a higher frequency. And when you do, it clears. And then you be free. So remember, drop your shields, because you don't need them. You only ever shielded yourself because you were afraid. And we don't have to do that ever again. Ever again. We make all things new. Hopefully that says it. Hopefully that helps. And I love you too. I think that's a good one. Yeah. See if we can see that butterfly. Butterflies are great. Yeah. Oh, that reminds me. I kind of mentioned it before, but check this out. So, real quick, if you notice that there's something awful, like some kind of shadow thing or some kind of monstrous something or other, and whether it's in your mind or whether you see it with your eyes or whether you just feel it, forgive and say butterflies. And then as you do, imagine that entire thing dissolving into hundreds of butterflies, and they'll fly in all directions, a bunch of different kinds of butterflies, and feel how it feels when you see butterflies. And then that fear creation becomes butterfly creation, and we prefer butterfly creation. And so, yeah, you'll notice it gets a lot easier at that point. Because as long as you're reacting in fear, you're adding to it. But when you add butterfly, then butterfly, and all is well. Oh yes.